Hi everybody, Arlene Schiffer from MJ's Handmaids, a little workshop owned by MJ's Blues and Dance Club. You can find us online at mjsblues.com. We've been around for quite some time. Today I'm going to show you how to make a ring like these. I have a PDF tutorial also on my website under free tutorials. So if you miss anything here, go ahead, download the PDF. That way you have a nice backup. I could go off camera. I'm not the best tutorial photographer here. My videos are probably some of the worst on YouTube, but enjoyable. I'm going to say that. So some of the tools that you're going to need. This is large wire that I'm using, and some people have been looking for different tutorials for large wire. In my if you go back to my channel, you'll see I have a round cab large wire tutorial as well. There were a lot of requests for round cab tutorials, so I combined them and I gave you large wire round cabochon. Yay! So we're going to make something like this real quick. Like, I've got a lot of pre-made so that we don't have a 2-hour long tutorial. This here was my first try. I made a mistake and cut too much, but came out with a really cool new looking design. You'll also find on the website tutorial to download that'll cover this kind of a ring as well. But I will also be doing a video on these. So why don't you subscribe if you'd like to, and you'll know when I upload that tutorial as well. But let's get going on this. Tools that you're going to need. First, I'm using large wire. This is a 14 gauge. It's also a reclaimed wire, so the tension is pretty much dead soft on the hard side, if that makes any sense to you. For my weave wire that I'm going to wrap around the base wire, I'm using a 24 gauge. Dead soft. For my base wire, the base, can you see? This is the base wire. And then my weaving wire is a 28 gauge. You can use a 30 gauge if you'd like to. No matter how I put this. But I don't have a tutorial up for that. And this one here, I count how many rotations of the weave to make it a lot easier for everybody to remember or to complete the process. So that's what we'll be using for the coiling wire. I have a pre-made, like I showed you or told you. I also have this is 4 inches. We're going to be cutting 4 inches of the 14 gauge wire, and that there will hopefully make about a size 7 adjustable ring. You'll also need a hammer along with a block to hammer on. You're going to want your ends to be flat so they're not so bulky, and you're also going to need a file to file that so you're not scratching anybody. These pretty much end up in the middle. They're made a little bit too big for me, but I'll show you anyway. See where it kind of ends up. So, and it doesn't, you don't feel it or anything. They're very comfortable. And you're gonna sell a lot, and you're gonna make them quickly. They're easy to make. It's not a coil. It's a weave coil wrap. So the next thing you'll need are tools. I have I'll be using flat nose, of course my hammer and block. And for cutting your large wire, I would use a larger wire cutter, industrial if you want to call them. they're heavier and you won't hurt your little crafting wires. I'm also probably more than likely going to use my nylon jaw flathead pliers as well. So I don't leave too many marks. I have a tendency of marking a lot of things up. File, because you do want to file stuff down. Of course, measuring. It's a ruler, not a measuring. And a mandrel. Shape your ring. And so I'm going to show you how to do this. Not necessarily a true tutorials. Mine are more like follow-alongs, but you will learn stuff. So let's get going. First thing I want to show you, so I can get the block out of my way, is the hammering nonsense. It's not nonsense, it's kind of necessary, actually. When you hammer, you're going to have one side that's going to have a ton of tool marks. You can buff it out, you can take care of it and stuff, but to ensure you got a really good spot, the side that's on the block will be a lot smoother. A lot smoother looking, and that will that's the side that you want for people to see, so it'll be on the outside of your creation. And to hammer them, I'm sure you know how to hammer. You can file first if you want to. I do a little bit to get burrs and stuff out, and then I'll hammer it, and I'll go back over it and file it again. And one of the best ways to test to see if it's going to hurt anybody is our skin's pretty sensitive here and here, so you'll feel it. You know, it's gonna, or even your cheek or the side of your neck, real sensitive areas, so that you get the full effect. Don't wait for somebody to complain about it, you know what I mean? So, because this one's done and I still need to file it a little bit, I'm going to hammer this one, and I'll show you how to do that. Put it on your block, and you just hammer the end. And you can see I'm kind of dragging my hammer out a little bit, because I want it to not shrink, but flare a little bit. So I need to see what I'm doing. Right, that's a little bit. And before I go too much further, I'm going to show you, see how there's, I don't know if I can focus in on this, but there's tool marks on this, on that side. And then try to get the other side. No tool marks. Okay. So when you flip it over to hammer the other side, you're going to need to hold on to that. It'll be flatter when you're done. It'll be much flatter, and you'll be able to hold on to it. That way you're not twisting to make them match up. You want them even. You want to go a little thin with these so that, again, it's kind of flush with the ring and it won't bulge. You won't feel it, but you don't want it so thin that it becomes like razor sharp. But that's what you do when you're hammering it. And to file, you just very gently, no pressure, because it's copper and it's just going to file for you. And then you go in one direction. I do anyway. And once it's good, and you don't feel it, then you're ready to wrap it. And you don't wrap it until, or you don't shape it until after you wrap it. So we'll put that aside. This is the one we're going to use because it's all hammered. This thing weighs a ton. That's 2 tools put aside. It gives me a little room. I'm so limited. Okay. Now for the coil, that I'm going to put over. It's like this. I took this off of one ring, and I'm going to put it on another eventually, or maybe just leave it and turn it into a connector bead or something. But anyways, this here is a 2-2 weave that I used, that I made. And I've got a tutorial on the website that shows you how to do it. A lot of other artists also have a tutorial to show you the steps of a 2-2 weave, and it's one of the most common ones that we use. It's really neat, and it works with pretty much everything. I'm going to cut, or have cut, approximately 6 inches, 12 inches, 10 inches of 24 gauge wire. And what we want is approximately 2.5 inches. If you want to go a little bigger, you can go 3 inches to weave, and about 35 rotations of a 2-2 weave using 28 gauge around a 24 gauge give you about 2.25 inches. That's what I did with this one. And we have total about 2.25. It's upside down, but about 2.25, and that's going to be plenty. These are made with 3 inches, and for my size, it's a bit big. And these here are, I believe, an 8. This size is an 8. So for the 7, I want to go to 2.25 inches. Now, how do you do a 2-2 weave? Now, I'm going to need my lamp. Unfortunately, it's something I need in order to see. No, it's the wrong way. But to start a 2-2 weave, I'm going to use my 28 gauge. I'm actually going to pull some off of the roll. I usually work from the roll, but it kinks up a little bit. You don't need a whole lot. What's that? Maybe 1.5 foot, 18 inches, 20 inches long. That's it. And if it's not enough, then I guess I'll have to add some. And I don't think it's going to be enough. Alright, and I usually will start on the bottom wire. Putting my wrapping wire. I take my wrapping wire and I behind. I start from the back side of the wire. I'm facing it. I'm also facing the camera, so it looks like the front to you, but to me it's the back. So I'm going from the back. I'm also going to leave a bit of a tail, a couple of inches of tail. Here we go. I'm going to leave a couple of inches so that I have something to wrap around this when I'm done to help secure it. So here we start. Do your basic base anchor with 3 wraps. 1, nice and tight. Remember not to be too forceful. Kind of handle it a little gingerly, because it's dead soft, real small wire. This is basically all wrapping wire wrapping itself together. So you want to be gentle. Just a couple of wraps to anchor it. Now I need my mirror, my lamp, to see if I did this right. And you're really close. Okay. Out of the way now. Bring it down. I'm going to bring it down to where I need my weaving to start. It might be a little tight. This also, the reason I cut so many inches off, and I fold it in half to make the 2. Now this here kind of helps me keep my thumb in here, my fingers into here, and they don't go sliding around, and that way I can make a better weave without it getting all over the place. And being that it's such small wire, I need the best grip I can get. But I'm going to leave maybe an inch of it, so that because it's also going to be wrapped around the frame and tightened down to help prevent the focal from slipping all over the place. But for the tutu weave, you've got your anchor on, and these, yeah, you can fold them right out like that so that you can get your wire through real quick. And I started with a 3 wrap anchor, and I'm just going to take the wire and go around 2 times. I have to make sure they're not overlapping. You want to make sure they're not overlapping, and you want to make sure that you keep them straight, because it'll start twisting on you. After you go around both wires 2 times. That's just not working like this. I need the camera at a different angle. So this was a heck of an experiment. 2 times. Gonna go back around the base wire. Go back around in between your wires. Separate. You're gonna wrap around your bottom wire twice. 2 times. And that's 1 rotation of a tutu weave. You're taking your wrapping wire, going around both wires, and then again around the base wire, and then back around both wires, through the center, back around both wires twice, through the center 2 times, and you just continue to do this until you've got 35 of these rotations. Make sure they're neat so you can see 35 of these rotations. And once you've done all of those, clip your wire so you've got just a couple inches. Grab your base wire, your ring shank wire, by grabbing it by the tail end, the looped end we made. Well, we didn't make a loop, but you can hold that so much easier like that. You can start anywhere on your base, trying to keep it nice and straight as possible. Make sure, pardon me, make sure your little wire is out of the way too. Can't have that. So again, right where your weave begins is where you want to start wrapping, and you're going to be holding it kind of tightly. So, and then we go as straight as possible and tight. Now you don't want to pull too much because you don't want your weave to separate. And as you're weaving, be very gentle. Every couple of rotations, squish them together, but be very careful with that. You want to do this right nice and tight, and you can, because you have a good sturdy shank going on. Nice and tight so that they're even. Keep your tension even and don't move. Okay. And we're on there. Alright. Now, you want a little something to go in the middle of those. You can take another piece of 24 gauge if you'd like to. Let's see. I'm just going to make it a couple of inches, maybe with about, we'll go with about 6 inches, 8 inches. And don't worry if you go a couple of inches too big. You can shorten it, you can't lengthen. And what we can do with this is just wrap it in between the gaps of your coiled weave. So hold on, let me start this correctly. Right in here is where I'm going to start, and I'm basically just going to follow the same rotation that I had done putting the coil on. Because I can't see what I'm doing, and this is small stuff, I'm going to be turning to my lamp every now and then. If you need to get the wires out of your way, go right ahead. You don't want too much tension on these. You want it to just fit into the slot evenly. Go all the way to the end. Wrap. And wrap. Just a couple of times to fasten it down. And we can clip that. Tighten it down. And still, I can adjust it right now. I want to tighten down this side as well. And it didn't necessarily leave enough of a tail for this to wrap around a couple of times, but they get covered by the other one anyways. Now I'm going to take my smaller wire and anchor it down. Cut. Squish. And now this piece I'm going to wrap around just like this. Let me look. And that pretty much finishes it off. I can cut that in a few. I'm going to get to this side because I still want something to hold on to. Finish this up. Wrap this around a couple times. Snip. 1 second, please. I gotta say, I've got some patient viewers. I appreciate that. I'm gonna wrap this, holding them both at the same time, nice and straight. We're the best I can do. Being blind. Give it a couple of wraps like the last one. Let me double check. Okay. Now this I'm going to cut. A lot of people will want to file these ends down, but being it's 24 gauge, it could work out, but you're going to end up scratching a lot or making it too thin. But it's really up to you. I don't normally. Feels good. Now I'll cut this side now. Actually, I don't need to. I'll be better off without it cut. It'll be one less end, to be honest. So I'm just going to wrap it and tighten it down, and it becomes a part of the ring. Ta-da! Mandrel time. Is that centered? Let's make sure it's centered. 4 inches that we want. They were good. Close. Anyway. Okay, like I said, size 7. Holy smoke. Now you want to make sure when you do this, you have the right side that's hammered on the outside of you when you start wrapping, because otherwise you're going to be doing a lot of work with your Dremel or different things. I don't know, but you're going to be working on that to get the tool marks out. So let's get it wrapped. Here's a 7, but I'm going to use the back side so that this will fit flat. And the kind of, when it's flat like that, it works out for people that have stiff fingers and the knuckles swell up. You can get it around them a little easier. And don't forget, this is adjustable. So I'm holding it on real tight, trying to be as even as possible. Okay. I'm going to take it off, flip it, put it back on. Because it tapers, so the bottom one, the top one was the bottom one. It's actually a little bit larger than the next one. So I'm going to keep it even. And I think I twisted it. I'm limited on room, as you can tell, but we do what we can. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going, just like that. Boop, boop, boop. I need my hammer back. Now this, you want to be gentle, but because I don't want that poking upward, I'm going to give it some taps in the bead protector. It's a bead protector on your mandrels, but I use it for everything, a lot of different things. And still, I forgot to finish filing that as well. There we go. Okay, back to shaping and sizing. And yes, you're going to pull it off and put it back on a few different times because you want to keep it as even as possible. You know, work set. And there you have it. The adjustable coiled ring. Ta-da. Make adjustments as you feel necessary. And adjustable, you can just squeeze it. It is pretty sturdy copper too, so you're not going to squeeze it too much. I make to size, and I let people know it's pretty sturdy. It's going to be hard to size it, but it is adjustable, and you're not going to hurt anything. So that's. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with your friends. Go to the website, mjsblues.com, and download the PDF that covers this as well. It's a little more detailed. You got better pictures and stuff. But thanks again for watching. I hope this has helped you out a lot. And have a great day.